Gut, schauen wir auf das, was da kommt. Evers Becher Team Relay World Cup presented by BMW. So heißt es dann konkret. Wir haben gesagt, jetzt 7 Mannschaften am Start: Polen, Rumänien, Ukraine, Italien, Lettland, Deutschland und Österreich. Und es wird
Österreich, letztes Jahr die Staffel-Weltcup gewonnen, mit 7 Urhof gewonnen, Wintenberg gewonnen und im Team beim Finale da.
So welcome back to Wintenberg. Well, let's take a look at the track at Wintenberg. That's where we are right now. And we look ahead now to the Team Relay World Cup, in which Poland, Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Latvia, then Germany and Austria go. And we can take a look at the track that faces them here. It's a doubles track, 945 meters, 110 vertical drop, maximum speed estimated at 128, so 11 corners for this. And the signature one is at Veltins Kreisel, corner number 7. It's one where you can lose speed and it can really, really cost you. Then we head down the track, down to that labyrinth. And then that uphill finish, and that little section has caught so many people out. So the Veltins Ice Arena, we've had a great weekend. Absolutely wonderful weekend, uniquely so as well. More on that in a second, but Mark Hatton, of course, is with me, who always likes to talk temperatures.
Yes, I do. Love those temperatures, and you can see the spritz going on the track there. We saw the air temperature outside is 7.7 degrees, more suitable for beach volleyball than luge, but that's how it is here in Wintenberg. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't, but what they are good at, this track crew, is just making the best of what they get. They make good ice, whatever the weather.
If you're playing beach volleyball in 7.7 degrees, someone needs to have a word.
No, they breathe us tough in Rainer's Lane.
I knew you were going to say that. The outside later having a play. Now, remind us, for those people who are new to this wonderful world, what is going on here, temperatures being taken of runners and so on. It's ever so intricate, isn't it?
It really is. This is where the coaches have so much input in their timing to get the runners to the perfect board up there that's changing constantly, that's linked to the air temperature, and the coaches have that job of making sure that those runners are right on the limit of the warmth that they're allowed to be.
So just to explain how this team relay works, it kind of is what it says on the tin, but it means that all 4 disciplines go one after the other, starting with ladies singles, then the men's doubles, then the men's singles, and the ladies doubles finish off. We get that great slightly harem-scarum situation, of course, where they have to do the changeover. They hit the tab at the end, and the gates open, and so on and so forth. So it's lots of fun, isn't it, Mark?
It really is. It's wacky races and so much action in the team relay. When it came into the Olympics, it just captured people's imagination, got us a whole new audience for luge because it's action from top to bottom.
So here's the start list. Poland, Romania, Ukraine, Italy, Latvia. You'd feel it's going to be a fight between Germany and Austria, and there is a detail about that Austrian team that you're going to bring us.
Yes, indeed. We've had a last-minute replacement. Hannah Prock moving ahead of Lisa Schulte onto that team. So we just got confirmation of that a few minutes ago. Now, the teams, they have 10 minutes after the singles race to make those changes. So they would have been rushing down to the race office to get that change in. So, yeah, we're going to see Hannah Prock doing double duty today.
And is it as simple as it seems, in the sense that, you know, Hannah flew and won that singles event, therefore she's going faster, therefore she takes over?
Well, Pretty much, quite often. There's sometimes some darker arts, darker sciences, but really it's you put your best horse first.
So she can build on that. She can make it a double win. She can make it a proper weekend, can't she?
Absolutely. It's such a great opportunity off that maiden gold medal for Hannah Prock to do the double this weekend.
Right, so we will prepare to get underway. It will be Klaudia Domoradska to start things off for Poland. Then it's going to be Chmielewski and Gankaczyk, Sokovic, the singles, then Domovic and Piwkowska to round things off. Remember, you can't make mistakes with those changeovers. They are trickier than they look.
Yes, they are indeed. And what is interesting for this team relay is the athletes have to come all the way down to the doubles start, which is great for the doubles. But the women and the men, they don't spend a lot of time down there. So the lines are slightly different, the speeds are slightly different, and there's some subtleties that they really have to work on. But Domoradska looking very comfortable going from that double start now.
And will we expect similar sort of ice speed issues to the ones that we might have had in that women's singles?
I think so. You know, it's not going to get any colder here. It's still early in the day, so the track will deteriorate. The great thing about the relay is we get through these sleds fast.
So 49.220. Chmielewski and Gankaczyk take over now. Can Poland set a time?
Chmielewski and Gankachik's new on the back of this double sled, but these guys, I said this the other day, they look like they've been together for so many seasons. They're working really well together. And Chmielewski-Kowalewski before, that was a solid doubles team as well. So it looks like they've just picked up where they left off.
Yeah, good old Kuba, such a popular slider, wasn't he? It's going to be Matthias Sokovic to take over from these two. 123 kilometers per hour as they head towards the changeover. Don't sit up too early. Nicely done. Now Sokovic. Poland looking to set the time here.
Absolutely setting the time, and that reaction time in the bottom corner is a great metric that we now have in this relay, where we can actually see the reaction time of the athletes. It says change time, and that's a really good teller of how sharp these athletes are at the start.
And in a sport, as you're always telling us, of thousandths of seconds and so on and so forth, that changeover, that reaction time can win or lose you the race.
You know, it's really good, especially for the kind of the middle of the pack nations like a Poland, who aren't always on the podium, to have those other skills come into it, where maybe, just maybe, they can close the gap on the big nations.
So let's check out this reaction time. 2.236 was the change time there, a little bit slower, and a mistake as well at the start.
Yeah, that mistake at the start. Again, it's such a tricky start curve. That curve 4, you go down into the track, and the sleds have to stay on the left-hand side of the ramp. If you go onto the right-hand side, just run out of ramp, and you can't make the cut into that hard right turn, curve 4.
Domovic and Piwkowska. So difficult when you go first. You get the fresh ice, but you're trying to set the time. Little mistake there, and they slid again. Let's see how they finish. Interesting technique at the end. 3:15.777 for the Poles.
So that is our marker to beat from Team Poland, our first team down the hill. And apart from those two little mistakes in the women's doubles, very, very solid sliding. You see Sokovic just bouncing on to curve 4. He's probably only ever done 3 or 4 runs from down here, especially in the last few years. And you see him there through the labyrinth, just dropping the anchors, restabilizing the sled, and charging down further on down the labyrinth.
So the Romanians will start soon with Buzătoiu. There's the team. Handeric and Motska take over. Then Cretu's had a really good weekend, Valentin Cretu. And then the veteran Stramatoraru and Manolescu round things off. But it will be Buzătoiu to start. And the battle maybe for the minor places, maybe for something more. A reminder, 5 teams to go after this one. You would think a fight between Germany and Austria, but Mark's already pointed towards it. You know, Latvia would be favourite for bronze, but there's a chance of a podium if you put a really good series of runs together. But you've got to get everything right. First thing to negotiate, this tricky start that these singles races are not used to. What can Buzatoyu do here?
Now that may have been a false start. You just saw the front of her sled just nudge the gate. Now hopefully she hit it as it was opening. But this will be really interesting to see later on.
Well, they're well ahead. How does that impact, Mark? You know, tell us all, if it's a false start, they don't pull them back, but they would disqualify them after the race, right?
I think so, yes. I think the likelihood is they would wait until after the race, because that was just a matter of inches. Could have been our eyes deceiving us up here in the commentary box as well, as we see them go through that labyrinth, carrying speed 123 kilometers an hour.
Well, it's been a good run here, and she does have the advantage, over half a second advantage. Hands over to Handerich and Motka. And don't worry, I've made a career of making mistakes from the commentary box. Let's see.
And Mosca looking really comfortable in that start curve. That start curve, as we said, so tricky, but they did it well in the men's doubles race, and they've done it well again in the team relay, giving themselves every chance. But you see that we're starting to lose a little bit of time. We're just down to 0.2 of a second to play with behind in front of Team Poland.
Yes, significant amount of time. Lost a little bit more as well. The Romanians here on the poles. It might be up to Cretu to fly in that third leg. We're going to see if he can at the moment. Let's take a look at this split. Romania have lost time here. Yeah, they're outside Poland. They had a nightmare finish at the bottom of the track. 1.813 change time. Cretu was a little bit wayward on that start as well, not used to it, but now he needs to get into a rhythm, and he needs to do it quickly here. Look at that, 0.3 of a second over behind now.
If you're going to choose a Romanian to take this run, it's going to be Cretu. Cretu on such a high at the moment. Had such a good weekend here, but he's going to have to pull something very special out of the hat as he goes into curve 11 to set himself up for the labyrinth.
Hasn't been able to pull it back really. Into the labyrinth he goes. Cretu, as he picked up any speed, he's still in the red. It would have to be very late and very dramatic. Not quite. So Stramatoraru and Manolescu go, and they've got so much time to make up, and they make that little error. They hit the wall just after the start.
Yeah, you heard that, didn't you? You heard the sled crunch into that wall. That is definitely going to cost them. They're down to having to try and find a 1/4 of a second to catch Poland. But they're going to run out of track, because this, again, it's a very short track, 946 meters or so, and that goes pretty quick at these speeds.
Just under 0.3 behind at that split. Have they picked up any time here? Just lost a little bit of time. Romania on the poles. Poland, I think, are going to have the advantage. 122 kilometers per hour as they spin around that final curve, and they finish. And they picked up time in the bottom, but not enough. It's Poland who still lead the way. Disappointment for Romania.
Yeah, really close racing there. Romania were chasing it down, but it just wasn't to be. Couple of big mistakes in the labyrinth. Tough on the double sled, obviously, because those curves in the labyrinth are so close together, and those unwieldy double sleds. But look, here it is. And just nudging the gate on the start.
They have been disqualified. Confirmation. So there you go. False start, disqualified. What a shame for them, but at least they didn't throw away a potential win or anything like that. I know it's not much consolation, but still.
And you could see on her face, she just knew it, didn't she? Hard lines there for Team Romania, but it's early days this season, and this young, impressive team have been flying. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't continue to go from strength to strength.
Juliana Tunitska will lead off Ukraine, followed by Hoy and Kaczmar, then Andriy Manzi, another who's had a good solid weekend, the veteran, then Stetskiv and Mock to bring them home. Careful at the gate. Away she goes, Tunitskaya.
Looks like a last-minute change. That is Olena Smaha. So we've just got another last-minute change through in this team relay. That's the thing, the turnarounds are so quick. It takes a while for this information to get up to us here. But Olena Smaha getting Ukraine going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was checking a piece of paper rather than my screen, which has done that update. She's 1,000th of a second in front of the Poles, Smaha.
Smaha putting together something good here, though. She looks confident in that start curve, and this is turning out to be a lovely run for Olena Smaha through the labyrinth. Great finish curve as well. Now stay lying down, don't sit up too early. She gets hands out of the sled, hits it and releases the doubles.
10th of a second behind the Poles. Here come the doubles pair of Hoy and Kaczmar. Got a little bit of work to do. You can see still in the red here. So far, it's a really good day for Poland. 0.4 of a second behind here, Ukraine.
Yeah, Poland could be just outside the medals looking at this, although we're possibly speaking too soon, but half a second. This is going to be tough to make up for Ukraine, but they do have some class sliders behind them, with Andriy Manzi to go next. Again, a guy who is in such rich form right now, and these doubles doing everything they can with a beautiful labyrinth.
Beautiful labyrinth, but 0.6 to make up there. Manzi's going to have an awful lot to do. 0.9, just under a second now for Manzi. Now, he's had a really good weekend, but not this good necessarily, and he makes that mistake on the wall. Not used to that start, Manzi.
Yeah, that start curve catching a lot of them out. It did the trick, but it certainly wasn't optimal. 1.1 seconds to find, and you've got to think, where are they going to find it from? This bottom of the track, so steep, still in the flats now as he comes around 8 and 9. This is where the mountain just drops away like an elevator shaft into curve 11.
Into curve 11, Manzi goes, still over a second behind. That Polish team will be starting to get really excited at the moment with 4 teams to go. After this, here comes Manzi. How much have Stetsky and Mock got to make up? Too much is probably the answer. Over a second here for the Ukraine women's doubles to bring them home, and up that wall they go as well. Just lost a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, losing a little bit of momentum, got away with it. But Stetsky and Mock with a mountain to climb, but they are climbing it. Somewhere out of there they found 0.2 of a second. Now can they catch up some more? This is going to be tight. Still finding time. They've got it down to 0.3. Making a charge for it on the final sled here, Team Ukraine.
Yeah, here's the charge.
Left it too late.
But that's the question, isn't it? It's the same split, 0.778. As Ukraine head for that target of 3:15.777. Through the labyrinth they go. Here they come. They surely can't have made it all up. No, no. They made up some. It was impressive. They made up half a second, but it's Poland. It's Poland who still lead here.
Well, I wonder if they would definitely have taken that this morning if they thought they could be in this position after 3 teams, I'm sure. Valiant effort from Stetsky Mock there, though, in the top section of the track, who were really on a hiding to nothing with a second to find in this minuscule timed sport. But Stetsky and Mock looking smooth here. But this is that section of the labyrinth where they just bumped on to the finish curve. And as we've seen all weekend, that's such an expensive mistake because that dramatic uphill section just bleeds the speed off the sled.
And just remember, from a Polish point of view, it's a young Italy. It's a young Italy here. And all Poland would need, I say all, it's still a lot, would be a young Italy not to respond to the pressure, and then a mistake from one of the main 3, the 3 favourites for the top 3. It's not beyond the bounds. Poland will be dreaming right now, having gone off first. Oberstolz has been outstanding. Italy should be more than good enough here. Oberstolz, then Brunner and Weichensteiner, then Haselrieder, then Falkensteiner and Huber. That should be comfortably good enough, but let's see, there is some jeopardy here. And Poland will be watching on very, very eagerly. Here's the young star, Oberstolz. Went really well in the women's singles earlier. She gets into position early too. Again, takes the bump off that wall. And let's look at the comparative times here. Just outside Oberstolz, so a little bit of time for her to make up.
Nice line through the Kreisel. You see her just going through those blue check marks, which give us a great idea from home, just seeing how good their lining Kreisel is. She goes into 9, trying to link these two curves, and she does little early to 11, but deals with it really nicely. She sets herself up for the labyrinth.
There was a mistake there which might have cost her a little bit of time. Still in the green though as she comes round that final curve. Has Oberstolz done enough to set off Brunner and Weichensteiner in the lead? She has. Nearly 0.2 of a second. Great bottom part of the course there from Alexandra Oberstolz. Now Philipp Brunner and Manuel Weichensteiner go for Italy. The men's doubles trying to pile on the power, pile on the pressure, but they've lost time. 3,000th now behind the Poles, who did both start really well, and that's shining through.
Yes, that start curve from this doubles was great. That start curve never looks pretty on any sled, but they made the best out of it, those guys, and they are going well here. Italy still with something to make up, but is it going to be enough? Poland looks to have absolutely played a blinder.
The Polish run looks better and better. 125 kilometers per hour. The handover now to Haselrieder. The pressure on him. Is he going to start in second? Well, he's over 1/10 of a second behind. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got to chip into that, and he is caught out by that turn at the top of the start as well.
Haselrieder keeping calm, keeping cool there though, and making the best of that choppy start with a nice smooth entrance to Kreisel. Now he's going to calm everything down and then charge after curve 9 when the track gets steep, as he goes from 8 to 9. Can he link these two curves? Yes, he can. Sets himself up with every chance in the labyrinth.
How much work, though, is he going to give Falkensteiner and Huber to do here? Because they're going to be behind. It's by how much, unless he's absolutely flown through the labyrinth. Let's see. Here's the handover. Just over 1/10 of a second. He did pick up some time at the bottom. So now, Nadia Falkensteiner, Annalena Huber. Remember, Poland the target. Are Poland going to have an outside chance of a podium here? Are they going to finish ahead of Italy? Let's see. Still there's time to make up. And they're running out of time here, the duo.
Just getting nudged away on the entrance to Kreisel. Not a massive mistake, but this is going to come down to tiny margins. They've lost a little bit of time. They've got to find 2/10 from somewhere.
Is that doable? Just about, but it's got to be absolutely perfect from now for these two Italians, and it's not perfect. They went airborne, and they've lost so much speed going into the labyrinth. Big mistake there from the Italians, and it has cost them dear. Into third they go. Poland still lead with 3 to go. Look at the reaction from them.
What an effort from Team Italy, right down to the wire until that labyrinth caught out another one of our teams. Just saw that doubles team go airborne, probably a foot off the ground. That was a big, big jump. See them, they just come on early, front of the sled comes up, and when that happens, you're just a passenger trying to make the best of the situation. You see them go into 14 here. You'll see the rooster tail of ice as they put on the handbrake. Handbrake turn round the entrance, and Ozzy Haselrieder there, he knows what's what, and you can see the disappointment on his face as he sees the inevitable.
Oberstolz was great. She set them up, but they couldn't back her up. And now, after her great run in the women's singles, Alina Botta will then be taken over from by Bots and Pluma. Apayods, who was disappointing, and then Upita and Pavlova, the only Latvian pair on the podium so far in those mixed doubles. They've got a big chance in the team relay, but they've got to take it. Remember, with Germany and Austria to go, Poland still in front. Quick turnaround for Elina. Again, let's take a look at this start. The reverse tells us so much. And she just goes up that left wall and loses a little bit of momentum. It's the common mistake we've seen, isn't it, Mark?
It really is. It never looks pretty, but there's different levels of prettiness in that curve. And when you go up it and ride it, you've got it, and you come down, you've just got to be so soft in the sled to soak up that bump. But yeah, Elina Bota, she had great runs this morning, but she made some mistakes down at the bottom. So we've got to make sure she doesn't this time as she goes into 11, setting herself up for the labyrinth.
4 tenths in front at the moment from Bota. Feels like sanity has been restored here. Latvia doing what they should do. Still a lot of work to go though for Bots and Pluma, and here they go, but they've got 6 tenths to play with.
Yeah, Bots and Plume in good form right now. Elina Bota saving the best for last. She had a few problems in the women's singles earlier today where she made mistakes on both runs in the labyrinth, but that run she did everything she could to put her team well in front, and it looks like it's worked.
Yeah, right now you'd feel that Latvia right on top. The Poland, if they are dreaming of that podium, need a big mistake from Latvia. Need them to lose significant time. It can happen, of course, in this sport, but at the moment, Bots and Plume are going really well, but they went airborne there.
Ice coming out the back of the sled, that is going to slow them down significantly. But if you want someone to go next, Krista Zapiots is your man. Such an impressive slider, such a powerful slider. Krista Zapiots not used to going from the start. He's got to get in that sled first, as you see him get his arms in the sled just as he went into curve 5.
But he's picked up time. He picked up a 1/10 of a second because they did slow at the bottom. Bots and Pluma. But at the moment, Apayod still in control. Upita and Pavlova he's going to hand over to. Over half a second the advantage here for Latvia over the Poles. The unlikely Poles at the moment still in the lead with Germany and Austria to go, remember. Latvia build on their advantage. 6 tenths in front now.
Apayod starting to relax into this though. Made a little mistake out of 9, but fixed it straight away. Waits until the last second to sit up and releases the women's doubles team of Anda Upite and Madara Pavlova. What a weekend for Pavlova on the back of this double sled. Her first World Cup. Wouldn't it be great for her to leave here with a medal of any colour?
At the moment, she's favourite too. They still have half a second advantage, which is a long time, but much can go wrong quickly, as we've seen all weekend. They've extended that advantage, though, to 6 tenths. These two brilliant young Latvians, Upita and Pavlova. Looks for that racing line here, and it looks good still from the Latvians. Still 6 tenths.
Good setup for the labyrinth. Managed to thread the needle into the finish curve. So many of these doubles team bumping on early. They get away with it. Got to wait till the last minute. Stopping the clock with almost a second. They found half a second on that run. It's a wonderful run from Anda Upite and Madara Pavlova to put Latvia into first place.
Yeah, Latvia lead then, Poland in second, but we know what's coming next. It's a big face-off. The two giants will butt heads, Germany versus Austria. But Latvia went really well. Latvia guaranteed the podium here as we expected them to be. Poland's second right now.
See Bots, Plume, it almost all went sideways for them there. It did literally going into 14 as you see the ice come off the back of the sled, but that was so close to disaster for Team Latvia. But Bots and Plume using all that experience to keep it going. Latvia, well deserved, currently sitting in first.
So now, this is going to be good, I tell you. Germany versus Austria effectively. Frabel to lead off, Wendel and Alt, ever heard of them? Then Lock, the singles winner. Degenhardt and Rosenthal already with a win. And Frabel taking nothing away from our winner, in many ways the moral victor of those women's singles because of the way the first run played out. And she knows it too. And she was desperately disappointed and she doesn't want it to happen again. It's going to be Merle Frabel then. Still needs to do everything right as she did earlier on. Frabel deals well with that start. What else did you expect?
She's got to be feeling so confident now after last week's test race where she topped the podium, and after that, just beautiful second run today in the women's singles where she just missed out on the top spot, still leaving with a silver medal. Merle Frabel, really one of the form Germans right now.
This shows how good that run of Elina Botta was, though, because Frabel is outside it, although she does pick up speed lower down the course, Frabel, and she's already doing that, but a mistake there from Frabel. The target 48.610 as Frabel comes around through that labyrinth and is just outside. She's third, in fact, after that first run. So, over for Wendel and Alt, the legends of the men's doubles.
Wendel and Alt dealing with that start curve as they do, with just digital precision every run they take down this track. Wendel and Alt looking to extend that lead, and they do. They've already got it into the green by 69 thousandths of a second.
Just incredible how quickly they turned it from red to green. There was a significant deficit, over a tenth of a second, but already they're green, and now they have the advantage the other way, over a tenth in front of Latvia here. The two legends, Wendel and Alt. One of them said yesterday that we're not robots. They look an awful lot like it sometimes. 2/10 of a second, nearly a quarter of a second in front. Handing over to the legend Felix Lock, who goes high on that wall.
Felix Lock going down the right-hand side of the ramp. He managed to get it over, made the best of it, but that could cost Germany. But they've got quarter of a second to play with. That should be enough. But as we've seen in this team relay, there's so many variables. The doors are open all the time for any team.
And Lock keeps picking up time, but remember, it's not necessarily the difference to Latvia that's going to matter. It's going to be Austria to go last. They need to go as quick as they can here, and they are doing. Lock is picking up time all the time. Into the labyrinth he goes.
Lock's signature head up the curve works for him as he gets his hand out of the sled early but stays flat and releases the women's doubles team, Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal.
And Degenhardt said yesterday they do not like this course. She, with a big smile on her face, said we don't enjoy it here, but they certainly had success here. They did yesterday, just inside a second in front, but just remember, that is to get ahead of Latvia. We still have Austria to go after this, so Degenhardt and Rosenthal really need to fly. It's over a second now.
The most experienced team on the women's doubles circuit. They've been around in this sport since its inception, and you can see all that experience coming to play as they thread the needle through that labyrinth, driving it like a single sled through the labyrinth. Just beautiful work there from Jessica Degenhardt as they wait and stop the clock with 1.6 seconds. Was it ever in doubt? Well, maybe for a split second at the beginning, but there's a few certainties in life, and Team Germany coming up with the goods is one of them in the sport of luge.
Just remarkable, though, not just to get in front, but to take that much time. Wow. But are formidable as we see Germany again. Frabel, if anything, was a little disappointing there. It's all relative, of course, but her high standards, which are exceptionally high.
That little bump onto 14, just going airborne, but again, dealing with it so well. What could have been a massive mistake didn't work out too bad for Team Germany. And Wendel and Alt just getting into the green so quickly. Look what it means to them. Winning is a habit. And Germany, make no mistake about it, continuing that habit.
But let's remember, Austria will be led off here by the ladies singles winner, Hannah Prock, then the men's doubles winners, Gatt and Scherp, then Müller, who won in the mixed singles, and then of course Egler and Kipp, who are just one of the very, very best, second in the women's doubles. This is going to be so tight. It's also going to be about as thrilling as this sport gets. Prock to fly first. How does she negotiate this start, Hannah Prock? That's number one.
Hannah Prock, I'm so happy for her. That gold medal in the ladies race today, so well deserved. And you just got that feeling after Pyeongchang at the end of last season, when she got that bronze, she thought, you know what, I can do this. And she proved it today. And now she's got to try and prove it for her team, but she's got to find a quarter of a second from somewhere. First sled down, Hannah Prock for Team Austria.
And of course there is a danger that it's after the Lord Mayor's show a little bit when you've just won the first World Cup win, a massive, massive moment for you, and you're looking for another one here into the labyrinth. Hannah Prock trying to set the time. Germany was so quick. If anything, Frabel was the weakest, whereas Prock got just outside. 500ths of a second outside, nearly 600. So now over to Gat and to Scherp, the men's doubles winners.
Prock finding something special in the labyrinth there. She went from 2/10ths back to just 600ths. So giving her teammates every chance. So continuing her form from the singles.
3/10ths behind at the moment, Gat and Scherp. Germany was so quick. Can Austria get near them here?
Gat and Scherp right on the edge there in curve 9, almost tipping over in curve 10. Getting away with it though, putting together a half-decent labyrinth as well. But have they lost some time with that mistake out of 9? Yes, they have. They're back to being a quarter of a second back. But now the form guy on tour right now, Jonas Müller, takes up the mantle.
The form guy needs to be the form guy here as well. They've got time to make up. He's made up a little bit already, just outside. 2/10ths of a second. Müller is so big, so physically strong, and he distributes that weight so well on the sled. Can Müller do it here for Austria?
Couldn't have put it better myself. He's a big, strong man, but he moves on the sled like a gymnast. Such a great, smooth, natural slider. We see him slide through that labyrinth with just absolute precision. If you're going to catch it up, this is the guy you want on your team. Hands out of the sled, opens the gates, but it's dropped off some more. We're almost 4/10ths back.
Egler and Kip need to make up nearly 4/10ths. A little bumpy start from them as well. It feels improbable, but they are more than capable. It's got worse though, just inside 5/10ths. Remember, they're going to have to rip apart a brilliant time from Degenhardt and Rosenthal. And are they capable of doing it? It's getting further and further into the back mirror now. Austria got too much surely to find here.
8-9, looking good through 8-9. They've done everything they can to set themselves up for a good labyrinth. Hanging on the end of 12 though, but get it back together for this finish curve. This tricky uphill finish curve that tripped up so many of our athletes. Half of the pads missing. They've got to reach up extra far, and they don't make it. Austria into second, so that means Germany are our winners in this team relay. Austria second. Incredible racing there, and Latvia in third place. And the shock of this race, Poland just outside the medals. You called it right, Dave. That was close racing.
Feel a bit for Poland. I mean, they'll enjoy the fact they finished fourth, but all they needed was just, I mean, wishing no ill on anyone, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. They needed, Latvia nearly did it as well. Boltz and Plumer nearly did make that mistake that would have put Poland on the podium, but hey, they'll build on that. Austria were great, Germany were greater. That's the headline from here.
And one of those things that you love about this race is that, as you see him just destroying the touchpad there with his spikes. But one of those things, it always gives those smaller nations a puncher's chance. You know, there's so many variables, such a great addition to the sport of luge.
Yeah, talking of puncher's chance, by the way, a friend of mine, an ex-world champion who takes athletes from other sports on the pads, as they say in boxing, and he often says to me, such and such a footballer, I tell you what, he's got some right hand. I bet you Jonas Müller's got a decent right hand. We could see it there, couldn't we, when he hit the touchpad. But he's got some power and leverage in those shoulders and arms, goodness me. Nice guy, though. I'm not suggesting there's anything martial artsy about him. He's a big smile on his face, but you know what I mean. He could if he wanted. Veltin's Ice Arena looks great. Germany win gold in the team relay, then Austria and Latvia and Poland, as Mark was saying, the shock of things. Romania disqualified because of that false start. With great precision, by the way, we get updates sent through from the organisers. We've had a brilliantly detailed video of the false start sent to us to show exactly what was wrong. But of course, Mark alongside me picked it up straight away the moment they were out of the gate. That's a lesson learned. Italy, in many ways, the disappointment, finishing 6th. That young Italian side not quite having it in this team relay event. So here are the highlights. Here's where it was won and lost. Here's the winning Germans. Fravel leading them off. Disappointment earlier with a silver, but gold now.
Fravel making that mistake that could have cost Germany so much. But when people are on fire and on form, sometimes they just keep on going, and Fravel doing so much good there.
Then Vendel and Arlt, who rarely do anything wrong.
Full commitment from the Tobys round that uphill finish section. And Felix Locke, I mean, rolling back the years. He seems to roll back the years with regularity, but back on the podium this weekend. And Felix Locke, what a man to have in your stable. I mean, leading it off that gold medal in the men's singles, and more great sliding from the master.
Yeah, great weekend for him, and then rounded off by the mighty Degenhardt and Rosenthal. And do you remember when they won yesterday, Degenhardt with a smile on her face said, yeah, we quite fancy the team relay. When they said, well done on 1 gold. Yeah, all right, wait and see. She was right. She was right.
That crystal ball and this team, I think, have got to be one of the hot picks for Olympic gold. It's early days, but when they crossed the line the other day, they said, we are back. And they definitely are with a vengeance. Team Germany, as always, delivering the goods.
Crystal ball, will it be crystal globe come the end of the season for them? So great racing. It's been some weekend. We will present our winners as we're doing that, because we know what's going to happen. Bouquets and announcements and smiles and punches of the air. As we're doing this, just sum up the weekend for us from your perspective, if you don't mind, Mark. It's been great, hasn't it? Great fun, and of course uniquely over 3 days as well.
It's been one of those World Cups where you could have rolled a dice for any of these winners. I mean, Felix Locke, so good to see him back on the top step. Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal just dominant in that women's doubles. And, you know, Gat and Schopf, that was close. Interesting not to see Wendell Arlt on the top of the podium, but I'm sure we'll see them again. But the highlight for me this weekend, really, Hannah Prock, her first gold, just absolutely wonderful.
So the Germans punched the air, and we'll hear, of course, from all of our, maybe not all of them, because that would take a long time, but we'll hear from a selection of our podium athletes, or else we'll be here for the rest of the afternoon for the interviews. But yeah, it's been great fun, and we look forward to the next couple of weeks where I think the saying is we go stateside, excitingly to Park City in Utah, and then of course to the legendary venue of Lake Placid.
One very fast track here in Wintenberg to another even faster track in Park City, the motorway that is a 2002 Olympic track awaiting us next week.
There's a photo. Headwear's become quite interesting. I'm guessing it's an advertising thing. Well, why not? If you're them, you can do what you want. Frankly, had that much success.